All right. So yeah, let's talk about What did you guys think of that short story?
I loved it a lot. Okay, so when you first told us about it, um, you were not that you were like you were giving it a bad description or anything, but really the best way to describe it is there's a guy who comes across like a magical Kindle.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
Yeah.
I mean, I
just
don't really know. You can't really say much more without spoiling it. You
Yeah.
just have to read it. And so your first thought is like, that's super weird. I feel like if it wasn't King and it was just some author that I maybe have heard the name, but I'm not familiar enough with the stories. Certainly, if it was an author I'd never heard of, I should just be like,
Hmm.
I don't know about this. That sounds.
Yeah.
I don't think
Yeah.
I would.
silly.
Maybe I would read it because it's a short story, not a full novel. But it definitely didn't. I didn't necessarily go into it with high hopes, but I was still
Hmm.
intrigued.
Yeah.
And then I came out the other end like kind of mind blown, and that was
Right.
really awesome.
Right.
Yeah,
I totally
yeah,
agree. I had the same experience. Not that I did expect it to be bad, but it's just something that I
yeah,
probably would have blown past and never read.
right.
And like,
Right.
man, it made me realize how good of a damn story you can get to me in 50 pages. Like,
Yeah.
wow.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I I was just looking at short stories that are tangential to the Dark Tower, and there's actually more short stories that relate to the Dark Tower too. So that's not the only one. There's more that
Fantastic. Let's read
Yay.
relate
them.
to the
Let's read them all.
and so I read like the first two or three sentences of the synopsis. I was like, I'm sorry, what? Does he also have a magic microwave and like
Right.
a vacuum from space? Okay, like where are we going with this? Um,
Anything under the sun.
yeah, but then ironically, if he was going to make a Kindle exclusive book, which I believe it is, it's exclusive only to the Kindle.
That
So
would
it
make
was
sense. Yeah.
put out there to basically promote sales for the Kindle. I'm
Right.
like, that's such a good idea because if you're going to do a Kindle exclusive, story, might as well do that one.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that would sell me.
Yeah, yeah,
A Stephen King story I can only read on Kindle? Sure. Yeah,
right,
sign me up.
right.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things about characters, it's well, modern world settings when like a what we know as a modern person like ourselves just living about their lives in like the modern West or America, going about their day that you can totally relate to, and then having some type of magical or supernatural element that pulls them out of it,
Mhm.
or changes the way their world works or how they interact with it because they now know something new. What always gets me is, does the character respond in a way that's relatable? Like, do they respond in a way that makes sense? And absolutely, every single character that
Yeah.
learns about this magical Kindle that the character gets, that Wesley gets, responds the way a normal person would, and that really
Mhm.
grips me. And
Yeah.
I think once I
Yeah.
started like getting to the point maybe 25 to 30 is like when he gets the magic Kindle and starts to like look into it and you realize what it does. I mean, I couldn't stop reading it. I mean, I
Mhm.
just read that just all the way through so
Right.
quick.
I did
Yeah.
too.
Um,
Same with me. I mean, I finished it in an afternoon because I was like, I can't put this down.
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
love when he shows someone and he says, can you see this? Because if you can't, fuck. Like, and that's
I
how
am
somebody would
crazy.
respond. Yeah, you'd
Yeah.
be
Mhm.
fascinated with it and gripped by it, and it almost seems like it has some type of component that causes you to be fascinated with it outside of the amazingness
Mhm.
of what it could do. Like it seems to pull you in and have an evilness about it. um but
Yeah.
absolutely, like in my first moment where I was able to think rationally, that'd be the first thing I did. It's like, somebody else needs to see this. I need to compare this to what
Mhm.
somebody else experiences,
Right.
and that's exactly what the character does.
Yeah. Every time they were looking through the pages and search criteria and just using the Kindle. Every time I was terrified, like the entire time. Like, what? Just I don't know what's gonna happen. What are they gonna come across? Who's gonna appear? Who's gonna, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
I think even um, when he first downloads or buys one of the novels, I think it's a Hemingway, that
Portland's Dogs, the non-existing
yes,
Hemingway
that
novel.
doesn't
Yeah.
that doesn't exist in our world. He has this momentary thought that it's gonna pull him in and he's like never gonna see his world again. And I was kind of thinking the same thing. I was like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, he's gonna
Mm.
click on something and he's gonna be pulled into one of the other worlds and he's just gonna be stuck. And that's like I was terrified.
Huh. Interesting.
And then of course it didn't happen, but
Yeah, I remember waiting for something more strange or supernatural to happen because of the Kindle.
Mm.
And I like that, even though it
Yeah.
did scare him and he did imagine that claw grabbing him, that it didn't do anything besides what it was programmed to do. Like, yeah, it might be evil or
Right.
sinister, but it just lets you read these things that you should be able to experience.
Yeah.
They shouldn't exist by all rights, but here they are.
And all it asks is that you don't publish the
Yeah.
ones in your world that don't exist and that you don't try to change the future.
And also
Which
give us a few
also
bucks.
is
I feel like it
fascinating.
was really inexpensive for what the fuck it was
I
doing.
know.
Yeah, like didn't it like every time he would click on something there was like a price, but then it wouldn't charge his credit card and it was like for the low price of $4.99. And I was
Right.
like,
And
wait a
they
minute.
sort of came to the realization, or just at least guessed, that,
Theory, yeah.
well, it was charging his credit card, but in another world, like in another universe. There's
I
like
love
poor guy.
that.
I loved that idea. He's just over there like, oh my gosh, all these charges.
What's happening?
Cancel credit card.
I
Cancel.
also really appreciate when characters are shown to have flaws that are true. And what I mean by that is like real flaws, like the real like inner like problems that people have that they don't like about themselves are really small and petty and shameful. And when this character Wesley like looks for himself in other Urs and sees that he's never published anything in any universe, and he's like, oh man, like that was great character writing. Like
Mhm.
even if people don't want to admit that that's something they'll relate to, I think everyone does relate to that because everyone's done
Yeah.
things that they have disappointed themselves. And
Right.
that was such a good way to make you sympathize with this character and his loserness in this scenario. I really thought that was some masterful writing.
Yeah, I enjoyed that too. And the fact that he's like, well, just because it hasn't happened in the 10 million other Urs doesn't mean that I still can't.
Yeah, there's
I'll
that
just be the
implicit hope
one,
too.
that did it, but
Oh,
yeah,
poor
I did
guy.
like that.
Also, did you guys I did this where I couldn't stop thinking about what Ur stands for if it stands for anything.
I kept trying to think.
Unreality and reality.
Yeah. I kept trying to think about what it might stand for as well. I thought that was really interesting. I kept trying to maybe see if it would come across where that name came from, or if it's an
Hmm.
acronym. I don't know, but just how that came about. But I don't really ever remember coming across anything in the story that made it clear, at least. Um, I would like to know if there is anything out there.
Yeah, I didn't find anything in the story either. And I wonder if Stephen King knows, or like I could definitely see
Might.
him like being like, oh, I'm gonna call it this because it's a good name. I'm not sure what it is, but I'm just gonna leave
I
it because
just
it's good. Let him
I just
wonder.
like it. I could see, yeah, that would be a Stephen King thing to do. I think
Uh,
yeah, if I were an author, that would be fun things to do. I'm just
I
gonna
just
mess with
typed
them.
in.
Did you find anything? Are you looking?
Yeah, so I typed in What does stand for? So is a combining form, and means primitive, original, or earliest. So an text would be the original text.
Oh, wait, you know what? It did say something like that
Oh
in
yeah.
in the short story.
Yeah, because
That's
when he
right.
first reads like functions, he thinks about how the only thing he can think about it is its like root concept within language that it means
Right.
primitive.
Huh.
That's right. I totally forgot about that. So there was. And I just forgot.
Interesting. It's similar words are prehistoric and antediluvian.
Oh,
Does that
interesting.
mean before the flood? Oh
Is
yeah.
it? Yeah, like after.
So antediluvian is any time before the biblical flood.
Oh, okay.
Hmm. Well, I guess that we resolved the mystery. That's what means.
So all these worlds are
I'm just
before floods.
forgetful.
Doesn't it? Didn't he also say something like, "Oh yeah, and it's also like a city in the Bible," or did I make that up?
Maybe I'm trying to pull it up
I think so. It's hard
in
to
the short
research two
story.
letters in a way that is
Yeah.
That's
going to
well,
yield
yeah,
results.
that's true.
Right. Right.
City. It's a
City.
Sumerian city-state in ancient Mesopotamia.
Sweet.
And it wasn't City, it was just
City.
City, Mesopotamia. Bring the family.
Thomas, let's go to City. Hop in the car.
Also, the creatures at the end of it that come to confiscate the book. That was fun. I had no idea what they are.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, so I found the portion in the short story where he talks about what it means. So he comes across functions. It says, now what in the hell was that? So far as he knew, had only two meanings: a city in the Old Testament and a
Hmm.
prefix meaning primitive or basic.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So it is a. God, I don't remember that being a city in the Old Testament. Like, at all. Interesting.
According to Google, it was.
Well, no, I'm not. I'm not trying to say it's not. I'm just saying I don't remember it at all.
Let's see.
I would say that I'm going to default that King is right and also probably Google.
Oh no, no. Yeah. No, I was just trying to make a joke.
No, I know.
Oh,
According
it's
to Google.
Abraham's original hometown.
Like Abraham
Appar-
Lincoln? Oh,
Yep,
sorry.
from the Old Testament.
That was the first Abraham that popped up into my head, to be honest. Even though we were just talking about the Old Testament.
I just fell out of my chair.
You
I
did.
literally just fell out of
God.
my chair. I went like this. I was like, ah.
Oh, that's awful. Wow,
Up
you
and
just said
down.
Abraham, and I thought of like tall hat and big beard, and I
I
was
didn't mean to
like,
come at you
Lincoln?
so hard afterwards.
Oh wait, nope, wrong Abraham. Nope, the Abraham. Oh boy, it's been a
She
long
did that on
week.
purpose. She did that on purpose.
Just so you can fall out of your chair, yeah.
And to make me feel funny, I appreciate it. I needed that.
I mean, you did. To be fair, you did answer that. So like, it's so matter of fact. Yep.
Justin's been conditioning me.
Oh man, I love
Got
it.
me the other night. I was like, who is this actress? I don't think this is her name because I think that's the character name. And then I said something weird that I don't remember, which is common. And then he said the actress's name. He was like Diane Morgan. And I was like, what? And he's like, Diane Morgan. And I was like, haha. Like, no, that's the name. And I was like, oh.
What?
I I just posted some information in the chat about and it's the best because it says here you can see the Temple Tower and the Great Nana.
You sure can. Look at that
The
Nana.
great Nana.
The Great Nana.
The
It was
greatest
the Sumerian moon god Nana.
I know that sounds so
is.
epic. A
It
Sumerian
does.
moon god.
Is it
God.
Mother Abigail? Is that the great Nana?
There were a lot of references to the moon
Or
in this band. Like
oh
when
wait, oh my gosh, you're
Flag
right.
tried to see Tom Cullen and could only see the moon. Dun dun dun.
You know what? We're figuring it all out right now.
Yeah,
I think
like
that's
okay,
correct.
this is going a little too deep because this is like, putting the little like, pegs on the board and like, connecting it with colored string and stuff.
It's that Charlie meme from
Yeah,
Sunny.
yeah.
This one. That's how I feel right now.
Oh yeah.
If he planned that would be ridiculous.
Yeah.
I also love the when those creatures come in, like I just ate that up. I think I read that whole part twice when the creatures come to collect the Kindle.
Oh
Because
yeah,
they
at
were
the end.
so
The
creepy and I was
the
so
like
scared for him.
what are they called? The something place?
Paradox police,
Parad
maybe?
yeah, that's what it was. Paradox place.
And do they call themselves that or does he call them that?
I think that's just what he called them because he
Yeah.
has I think when they after they sort of change the future, he has this thought. He sort of immediately starts panicking that like, oh, the paradox police are
Yeah, it's
have
the
come after
Paradox
me.
Police. They've come for me. Page
Hmm.
47.
Yeah. They don't actually ever say who they are.
They did have little eyes on their lapel that were not
Yeah,
fun
I
to
did
look at.
notice that. They were
And
red.
living evil coats.
Living evil.
Did the red eyes remind you of the front of Fairy
Yeah,
Tale?
that was the exact thing that I pictured. Basically, it did. Yeah.
Very nice, very nice.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's been that's right at like an hour. Did you guys want to wrap it up or did you I'm sure people are like hungry, right?
Yeah.
I definitely haven't eaten dinner yet.
Okay.
And Ponyo is
Um
still here waiting for me to hang out
I
with her.
will stop the recording, but don't hang up. I will stop
Okay.
the recording, but don't hang up. All right.
Bye, sluts.
Bye.
Bye, followers.
Keep it dirty.